In this lecture, we would like to discuss another important concept, that is political culture. So, how it related to the contemporary political development, and in regards to that, we would like to discuss the very concept of political culture owes its origin to Almond's observation, which was nicely presented by Luciana Pye in his work Political Culture and Political Development. So, according to Luciana Pye, every political system is embedded in a particular pattern of orientation to political actions. Political culture, like culture in general, is learned behavior. In a certain political community, it stands for the patterns of individual attitudes and orientation towards politics of that community among the members of the polity. So, Professor Lucian Fay in his work define it as the notion of that the attitudes, sentiments, and cognitions that inform and govern political behavior in any society are not just random congresses but represent coherent patterns which fit together and are mutually reinforcing in spite of the great potentialities or diversity in political orientation in any particular community. There is a limited and distant political culture which gives meaning, predictability, and form to political process. So, also, Almond and as presented by Professor Lucian Fay regarding the very components of orientation. So, out of the three components of orientation, we would like to discuss the first one, that is cognitive orientation. It involves knowledge about political objects and familiarity with the way the political system actually works. And the second components of orientation is affective orientations. It stands for subjective feelings of attachment to or alienation from the political system. And the third orientation is evaluative, evaluative orientation. It refers to judgments and opinions about political objects and actions that often lead to the application of value standards to objects and events. These orientations are closely interrelated and would be found in the psyche of a single individual in different combination. As Almond and Powell both observed in their work comparative politics, a developmental approach. The orientation patterns constitute the latent political tendencies for political behavior, which are of crucial importance in explaining and predicting political action in a particular country. So, also we will deal the very classification of political cultures. So, Almond and Verba in their work, the civic culture, they emphasized three typologies in order to characterize political culture in terms of distribution of general attitudes towards the political system and toward the input and the output process. The input process relates to the forces that affect the decision making process, such as the political parties and pressure groups. The output processes relate to the rule making, rule implementing, and rule interpreting functions of the political system. So, the first form of political culture that we would like to discuss, as it is named as why Professor Almond and Powell as parochial. So, parochials, the people who exhibit little or no awareness of the political system, fall in this category. The general orientation is one of unconscious and aloofness. People who show awareness of the national political system could be divided into two types, as the subjects and the participants. The first type, the subjects, would be oriented toward the outputs or the benefits of the political system. And the second type, the participants, would be oriented toward the input structures and process. So, we'd like to discuss about the political systems, how they exhibit broadly two styles of operation. One is bargaining and pragmatic style, and the second one is ideological style. And as we found in the political systems in United States of America and England, politics has the character of a marketplace. So, bargaining takes place among contending groups over a set of limited objects. There is a pragmatic and empirical orientation to politics, and the issues around which political bargains take place are limited and specific. Political culture in such situations is characterized by specificity of orientations and role differentiation of actors. And the other class or style of politics would be relatively rigid ideological style. Orientation to politics in this style would be non-specific and holistic. Political culture in a society undergoes a secularization process when it comes to exhibit an empirical and pragmatic orientation and move slowly from diffuseness to specificity of orientation. And also, he discuss about the actual situation where both secular and non-secular elements coexist in all political cultures. Differentiated political structure, secularized political cultures, and expansion of the capacity of the political system to deal with political management seems to go hand in hand with political development. So, we would like to conclude the very lecture on political culture as it was originated in the contemporary political development by Professor Gabriel Almond and Powell in their work Comparative Politics and Developmental Approach, and it was further being explained by Professor Luciana Pye. So, to conclude, the very concept and dimension of political culture, which facilitate application of an essentially behavioral form of analysis to study of such classic concepts as political ideology, legitimacy, etc. So, in the words of Professor Luciana Pye, the theory of political culture was developed in response to the need to bridge a growing gap in the behavioral approach in political science between the label of microanalysis based on psychological interpretation of the individual's political behavior and the label of microanalysis, macroanalysis based on the variables command to political sociology. So, in this particular lecture, we would like to explain that the very concept of political culture as a part of contemporary political development was originally developed by Professor Gabriel Almond and Professor Powell in their major work Comparative Politics and Developmental Approach, and it was further analyzed and explained by Professor Luciana Pye. So, in that regard, it made a division of the orientation principles in the behavioral pattern of individuals in a political system. So, they divided it into cognitive orientations, affective orientations, and evaluative orientations. So, also, Albert and Paul made a classification of political cultures as the parochials who do not take interest in any political development, neither they have any awareness or their attitude of unconcern and aloofness towards all political developments in a political system. And the second category, according to them, the subjects and the participants. And regarding the subjects, they express that they would be oriented toward the outputs or the benefits of the political system, while the participants would be oriented towards the input structures and processes. So, this is all about political culture as it is contributed into the contemporary political development by Professor Gabriel Almond and Powell in their work Comparative Politics and Developmental Approach and how it was analyzed and explained by Professor Luciana Pai. And in our next upcoming lecture, we would like to discuss another important concept, that is political socialization.